Ever since the roof came down on the super tense rap beef between Drake and Kendrick, it seems like every new album released by major players in hip-hop always has some new information they've kept hidden behind the surface about how much they dislike Drake and have no love or respect for him. The latest rapper to diss Drake on their new project is the one and only Childish Gambino. Gambino just released what he tagged as his final album, which he titled Bando Stone in the New World, and it looked like he aimed to address every single loose end of his career with this one record. Aside from the artistic goals he infused in this latest project, one of the major topics Gambino addressed was his brewing tensions with Drake. If you all remember, in the summer of 2023, things almost spilled over between these two when Gambino revealed that his iconic single This Is America was originally meant to be a Drake diss. This revelation sent the hip-hop world into a frenzy, and lots of fans were surprised that one of the most culturally astute records of the late 2010s was originally going to be a song that was created to attack Drake. Many people were trying to understand why Gambino had so much disdain for Drake, and while we were trying to figure that part out, Drake came out swinging. He dissed him publicly during his It's a Blur tour in 2023 by making use of one of the visual graphics on stage to call Gambino out while he performed his 2011 classic Headlines. Drake made fun of him by displaying a boldly written headline message throughout the arena saying, quote, "The overrated and over-awarded hit song This Is America was originally a Drake diss record," end quote. While it's obviously a fair response by Drake to Childish Gambino calling him out, the fact that he said This Is America is an overrated and over-awarded song feels like a weak attempt, and it shows just how out of touch he is because the rest of the music industry and fans at large perceived the song as iconic and culturally important, which makes Drake the only one that disagrees. Ever since Drake tried to tear down one of the most iconic moments of Gambino's career and one of the most important songs in the hip-hop scene this past decade, Gambino has been silent for the longest time, opting not to entertain any back and forth with Drake. But now, with this new project, especially on the track Yoshi Noah, it seems like we've finally gotten a long-awaited response from Childish Gambino addressing all their issues and a whole lot more. He pretty much designed this track to be a full-on open letter to Drake by addressing their initial back and forth from way back before digging much deeper into the roots of the problem as a whole. While Gambino didn't name-drop Drake or hit us with clear references the way Kendrick did in Not Like Us, it became very obvious who he was addressing through the subtle aggression and subliminals Gambino started the first verse with. When you infuse not just his wordplay, but the whole message of the track together, you'll realize that this is a swing at Drake, and a heavy one at that, which could have a significant impact on the hip-hop scene. Let's do some deep analysis of Gambino's diss. But before we do that, we have a quick update, because if you're enjoying this video, you should like and subscribe to this channel for more amazing content. Now let's get into it. The very first obvious signal that teases what is to come is the opening lines of the verse. Quote, "I put your boy in the seat." It's no secret that Drake's nickname is, of course, The Boy, and to dive deeper into the context of this verse, it was Gambino's way of claiming his superiority over him as an artist because of his well-documented success both as an actor and a musician. Another layer to this is the fact that Drake hasn't publicly been recognized as the best dad. These bars aren't just soaked with multiple layers that allude to everything that's been said about Drake publicly, they're also extremely well written. Another verse says, "You got your biz in the streets," which is directly referencing just how much of a public mess Drake's life has become because of his unnecessary constant show-off of the weirdest and most disturbing corners of his lifestyle to the world and his never-ending yearn for validation. As if this wasn't enough, another major hint that gives away who this open letter is directed to is when Gambino says, quote, "I find your house on the app, people around you ain't slat, they plotting hard when you slack." As Gambino continues to rap about how the person he's referring to has people in his corner who aren't loyal to him and don't have his back, this seems like a direct reference to everything that went down between Drake and Kendrick. The "finding his house on the app" verse is Gambino directly talking about Not Like Us and its cover art, which of course is Drake's mansion, as you are all aware. The rest of the lyrics here seem to be a direct reference to what Kendrick did on the 616 in LA diss track. While closing out this verse, Gambino delivers very direct warning shots in a series of bars where he tells the person he's rapping to that if they decide to respond to these jabs, they dare not bring his kids or family into this, which is a recurring theme to Drake's diss style, as we have seen his tendency to mention his opposition's wives and families in his raps, the way he did with Kanye, Pusha T, and most recently Kendrick. After this initial verse though, the track takes a darker turn with a beat switch that makes the music more gritty. It's obvious that Gambino's artistry knows no bounds, and his ability to deliver incredible bars while speaking his truth is his signature, which he delivered nicely here. Beyond his beef with Drake, he also put to bed some of the narratives that have followed him around for his entire career, such as the controversial dispute that Childish Gambino doesn't embody hip-hop because of how expansive and impressive his creative artistry is. But beyond ripping off the labels that some people have been trying to put on him for a long time now, the way Gambino digs into Drake on this project is more than most other rappers ever could. Gambino reflects on how much he has grown away from music, how he's now a father, raising a family, and how much more focused he is on family than the music industry. In his verse, he said, "I was busy building the life that people don't have. Told me that money makes you lonely. It ain't so bad." It reiterates his acknowledgement of his growth as a man, while Drake is still focused on superficial things like how much money he's got stacked up, which he talks about in almost every song he releases up till now. Childish Gambino explores more about fatherhood in his verse, saying, "People's jokes are so dad, they haven't seen their son in a month." This is again playing on the concept of Drake not being the most present father despite being incredibly successful. The production intensifies as the track goes deeper in a bid to reflect Gambino's intuitive emotion. He attacks Drake even more viciously for being a sellout, claiming he sold out every shred of his integrity and that he is living a cosplay lifestyle that isn't even real, and he finds joy in inflicting pain on others. As Gambino spells it all out for Drake, he goes back to how this whole beef started in 2018, when he said This Is America was supposed to be a diss track towards Drake. But he chose not to let such a culturally defining song become muddled up with a rap beef. His revelations on this track gave fans who were confused about his initial comments fresh understanding, and now they are starting to see he was making sense after all. Gambino's response to Drake is so incredible as he masterfully ties together the narrative of their feud into the larger picture of his career. But the emotional climax to this beautiful performance starts with exaggerating Drake's age, his level of maturity, and his inability to comprehend and appreciate anything that doesn't support his low-quality sense of artistry that he is squeezing every last drop out of. Gambino spits some of the best bars of his career in this new album, and the way he dismantled all of the brewing tensions around him and Drake by just speaking his truth just the way he sees it is mind-blowing. He also revealed that the purpose of this project goes beyond just dissing Drake, because he could have responded to him immediately but chose to let him be until now. Gambino closes Yoshi by telling us how he has become allergic to drama, and because of this, he has tuned out the rap game as a whole at this point in his life. From spitting more bars about how Instagram captions are more thought out than actual lyrics, to saying that the person to whom he's writing the open letter is a creepy human, we get as much information from start to finish that this song is about Drake, but at the same time, the path that Gambino took with this track shows that he is addressing Drake in a different wavelength than tracks like Not Like Us did. Although Gambino made it clear that he wasn't going to back down if Drake responded the way he did with Kendrick, he wasn't just attacking Drake for the sheer fun of it. He was using him as a point of target for multiple reasons. One of these is to explain why he is done with music, as he talks about how saturated the hip-hop industry has become in recent years and the drop-off in quality music. He is also using Drake as a conceptual mirror to the person Gambino is trying to portray throughout this album. When he references the public humiliations that Drake has been through recently and his failure not just as a big representation of hip-hop, but as a man, Gambino is trying to show us a living example of what would happen if he didn't stop making music. He didn't want to fall downward into the dark, slimy path of the industry, because if he did, he would be no different from the guy he was dissing. When you think of it, this is actually a genius way to tell a story, and it adds an important lens to viewing this convoluted era in rap music where nothing is real anymore. In a world where people like Drake make jokes at other rappers because they prefer to stick with authenticity and refuse to drop music every other market day, Gambino is telling us that the way Drake has exploited the industry, as opposed to the way people like Kendrick, A$AP Rocky, and Childish Gambino himself have done, shows the fundamental difference in mentality between them and the reason they have families away from the fame and the music, while Drake is still stuck in this cycle of immaturity and sneak dissing for attention. If there is one takeaway from this song, it's that Gambino at this point recognizes his reality and just wants to focus on being the best dad and husband to his family. As he is sharing with us the final chapter of his rap career, he is telling us to grow up and not end up like the dude who is the biggest choke artist in the music industry right now. He has to move on. All in all, this is a brilliant way to close out the last remaining threads of his rap career, using Drake as a reference point for this entire project while still addressing him in a weirdly subtle but powerful manner. It is a testament to the brilliant artistry he brings to his music that allows Gambino to deliver such an intuitive performance. If you want to see a more detailed analysis of this album and beyond, check out the suggested videos. Share, like, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content.